Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 9 of History 310 Online. In recent weeks, we have seen how a political and administrative crisis between England and her North American colonies brought about a complete rupture between the two, as the colonies declared their independence from the mother country, followed by a years-long war of independence and the ultimate military victory of the Patriot cause. During these tumultuous years, the United States of America was born. And even before the Revolutionary War was over, efforts were undertaken to formalize America's independence from England by establishing a new constitution called the Articles of Confederation and a new national Congress. Some of the most important questions the nation has ever faced, including questions of sovereignty and national territorial expansion, were debated and decided by the Congress under the Articles of Confederation. Yet as the war itself with England drew to a close, it was already apparent that political divisions within the former colonies would now play out among the independent and only barely united states of America. You'll see from our assigned reading and lecture this week that no single agreement upon a definition of democracy existed, with various factions either pushing for a more locally situated form of governing with broader participation and clear protections against the centralizing of authority, or, on the contrary, a view of democracy that entrusted more authority to a central government, which was mostly in the hands of a moneyed and propertied elite, men who were decidedly suspicious of popular and purely local democracy. So, local government versus national government. Popular participation or narrow participation, weak central authority or strong central authority. Take your pick. While these questions of democracy played out in the political arena, events in the states themselves, such as the famous Shays Rebellion, pushed the competing factions to defend their prerogatives ever more loudly and stake their claims over the meaning of American democracy. Sometimes we assume that the writing of a second constitution, the Federal Constitution of 1787, the one we've simply known ever since as the Constitution, was somehow inevitable or even preordained, a miracle in Philadelphia. But that's not at all how it seemed to those living at the time. Rather, the Constitutional Convention itself, which met in Philadelphia during the summer of 1787, began simply as a reform caucus representing 12 of the 13 states, to consider improvements in the Articles of Confederation. And when the delegates decided instead on their own authority to write an entirely new constitution, they did so without seeking permission from their states, or even publicly proclaiming their intentions. In fact, they literally locked the doors of the meeting hall and promised one another not to breathe a word of the goings-on outside until they'd finished the work. Who were these most secretive men we later came to call our founding fathers? They were among the wealthiest, best educated, and politically savvy men, and they were exclusively male, of their day. Some were Revolutionary War veterans, such as George Washington. Several were experienced politicians, and about a third of them were slave owners. What followed from their work, of course, was a new plan for government, a new constitution, finished in 1787, that then became the subject of a special ratification process, a noisy and hotly contested process that inspired great differences of opinion and deep levels of both support and opposition. In the end, the Philadelphia Constitution was ratified, but by a much closer margin than we often suppose. Nevertheless, the Constitution's ratification in 1788 began the arduous task of building the nation that the framers of the document envisioned, a republic based on the sovereignty of we the people, and it is a work that continues to this day. Now, I've split the video version of our lecture into parts 1 and 2 and asked that you view both. I've also assigned you another homework exercise for this week, which is due by Sunday at 8 p.m. I'll continue grading previous work, so you can check your grade book periodically to see if new scores have been added. As always, I appreciate your patience with the time-consuming task of grading, scoring, and commenting on your work. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to get in touch with me. Or, if you happen to be on campus, come by during my office hours on Tuesday and Thursday afternoon. Have a great week, everyone.